Just right. Hello, everybody. I'd like to welcome everybody. I'm Stephen Carlson. And Ladislav took up my offer to request a group release. And actually, Ladislav, I'd like to invite you to clarify a bit. What you wrote was that you'd like a group release on being important to other people. I can work with that, but is there anything else you'd like to add to that? Yes, go ahead.
I guess the context of it is like you should be priority for all other people. Like, you are the center of others' universe.
Oh, perfect. Good.
Like if you do that for them, they should do it for you, or even you should have more power. Right?
Yes, exactly. Good. All right, then. Well, so that's a pretty clear request. So let's go ahead and just take a breath, allow all to settle, allow things to be as they are. And the request or the issue was, why doesn't everybody recognize what I'm doing, my value, how important I am? We go through this world, each of us, as the center of our own universe. And so we always expect that others should recognize how central we are to all that is. After all, I'm the one here. Why doesn't everybody else recognize that? This is a default of human nature. So just notice what comes up when you think about how others don't recognize how central you are, when others don't recognize your contributions. Sometimes we have to explain ourselves many, many times. Sometimes we have to work for years and years to get whatever it is that we think that we deserve. So notice whatever comes up when you think about that. Because I'm willing to make a bet. Everybody here feels that way to one extent or another. Why don't others recognize me? So just notice what comes up in relation to that. Notice any thoughts, stories, memories, images, sounds. And then pay attention to the body and what's happening there. Notice any sense of discomfort, distress. And take a breath and just allow it as best you can to be here. Hint, it's here anyway. And when you're ready, let's use our 3 magic questions. Could you let that go? Would you be able to? Remember, yes or no is okay, either way. And would you let that go? Are you willing? Now look inside and think about any recent memory of how it was that you were not recognized, not acknowledged, the role that you play, the value that you've created, your presence in the world. Any recent memory of how you might have been looked over, ignored. And whatever comes to mind, whatever memory shows up, just notice what that stirs in your awareness. And look especially into the body. The body is so effective in mirroring what's happening in our awareness. Notice any sense of discomfort, disease. Notice also what's happening in the mind, any images, sounds, that little voice, so often critical. And now Check and see, is there any desire to change this, make this different, make it go away, or even hold on to it, to assign meaning to it, to make it into a story? And just allow that as best you can. That's a natural reaction. So just check into any desire to control your experience, to control how others see you. And then notice also how personal it seems to feel. It's that sense of me, the solitary individual struggling against a harsh and cruel world, a world that ignores me, belittles me, second guesses me, a world that doesn't recognize how central and important I am. And as you notice those feelings, just check and see, is there any sense that you should not feel that way? Any judgment, any kind of self censorship? Whatever is here, could you allow it, open to it, give it permission? And then, when you're ready, check and see. Can you find that individual who feels that way? Have a good look around. Can you find that person, that trace of the individual who feels that way? And if you did notice or find something, let's just check. Is that possibly a thought, a story, a memory? Or is that possibly a sensation in the body of some kind? And now let's ask another question. Is any of that you? Or are you that which is aware of sensations in the body? Are you that which is aware of thoughts, memories, mental images and constructions? Just for now, could you allow yourself to rest as that, as awareness, just as best you can? And notice how it feels. Notice any shift. As you allow yourself to rest as the awareness of thoughts and the awareness of sensations, you might notice also how good this feels. Just for now, could that be enough? Now that we're all here, I'd like to invite anybody who'd like to step up. You can request a little assistance, ask a question, share a game. Or we could all just enjoy a little silence. say that I notice one or two people on this call who I don't think I've seen before. So I'd like to welcome you. And just in case you're new to this practice, say a couple words. The Sedona Method is really about allowing what is to be and letting go of what is not us. It's an exploration. And really, the purpose of these calls is simply to facilitate that. So if you'd like to request help on a particular subject or ask a question, it's completely appropriate, even just to introduce yourself and say hi. Well then, so I can lead us through one more group release. There is a topic that's come up for me repeatedly in the last few weeks and months. Quick story. One social media channel I participate in is TikTok. I don't really create too many videos, but I do enjoy the conversations there. And TikTok is quite political, as you may know. And you may also understand that this is an era, a period of time that is becoming extremely intense in political conflict, debate, conversation. And I've spent most of my life engaged in not politics directly, but in understanding the world, in a study of history and international relations, travel, learning different cultures, in an attempt to understand the world and our place in it and how to get along in the world and with other people. And that is not the prevailing mood, at least not here in the United States. This is a reactionary period in U.S. politics. I don't suppose that's a surprise to anybody who's here. Like it or not, we all seem to be affected by it in one way or another. And so I got into trouble on TikTok by posting what I thought was a fairly innocent comment, but nothing is that innocent these days. It was in response to some, let's say, right-wing outrage. My response was, help, we're surrounded by dumb people. So I'm going to lead us in a little group release around that whole topic, the sense that I am the victim of dumb people making dumb choices. So just notice what that stirs up. You may not agree with me, or you may feel yourself the victim of morons making bad decisions. And notice also the judgment in what I just said. So just allow the reaction to be here. And notice also any desire to do something about it. Any wanting all of this to just go away. Wanting people just to grow up, make good decisions. Wanting the news to be different. Wanting the world to be different than what it seems to be. So just notice all that comes up in your awareness and reaction to politics, the news. public stupidity. People who seem to feel the need to take a stand on this. People who disagree. Now let's just take a look in the body. The body is so effective in this work. Just notice any kind of tension, discomfort, any cramping, any clenching. Have a good look around. Take your time for a moment. And don't forget to breathe. And so what if all that you're experiencing in the body is made up? What if it doesn't have a meaning, an explanation, or a reason? What if all these stories of conflict and politics and stupidity, what if all of this is just made up fantasy? What if what's happening in the body is simply energy moving, completely neutral? Could you be open to that possibility? And notice a deep breath or two can help to shift things. And then check for any resistance, because it has to mean something, right? And if that's coming up for you, can you allow that to be here and notice how that feels, that resistance? Notice how that seems to intensify the experience of the body, resistance. But since it's here anyway, could you allow it and make room for it? And then just for fun, could you let that go? And would you? And when? And then notice what's here. And let's just go back to the beginning. Think again of a recent headline, a piece of news, and notice what comes up. Could I mention a few pieces of news? What about this incredible tariff war and the threat of higher prices? What about the conflict in Palestine or Israel? By the way, even the choice of names can be politically contentious, right? Notice any feelings that come up with that. Notice also any thought of personalities. Do I have to name names? The American president. Have you noticed a lot of people don't like to actually say his name? There might be a reason for that. And if you're in Canada, oh my, there's an election coming up there, and that also brings all this into focus. So doesn't matter if you're not a US citizen, doesn't matter if you don't live in California. Just notice how affected you seem to be, and just allow all of this to be here. Take a deep breath or two and allow that to be here. And then check and see. Does this feel personal in some way? Is it affecting a you? Is it part of your story, your struggle? And then one additional step. Is there any kind of judgment or reaction to how you are feeling? Because you shouldn't, or you should. Notice any sense of judgment, any should. Any sense that your reactions should be different or not acceptable. And then one more step. Can you find the one who feels this way? Can you find that individual? And what if, just for now, what if all of that were just made up? Have you ever met the President of the United States in person? I haven't. What if all of this were just make-believe? Do you really know what's happening to the economy? I don't. Do you really know what's going to happen tomorrow? I don't. So what if all of this is just made up fantasy? What I am saying is that we may not have the full picture. We may not truly understand the consequences of these things. The news and politics and current events all seems very, very negative. Just notice that. But what if all of this is actually positive? That could be a stretch. But how else do things change? And when was change ever comfortable? You just notice what's happening here in the body. Notice what's happening in the mind. And just for now, could that be okay? Just as it is, just for now. Feels like a good place to stop. So, once again, I'd like to take a moment to invite you to step up. If anyone would like to ask a question, request assistance, or even just share a game, raise your hand or unmute. You're welcome to contribute.
Do I unmute now?
Well,
Mhm.
Indrani, yes.
Yes, dear. I was trying to unmute and I just couldn't.
Hmm.
Um, is there any special release I could do for myself? Because I had a situation I'm facing with my husband because he is having a deteriorating illness, and it can never get better, but it will only get worse, and it will be a matter of taking the caretaker role afterwards. And sometimes I'm gripped with a lot of grief to know that a human life can end like that. Or there are so many things that goes around still. I was wondering if there's anything you can give me as a tip that I could do for myself when I have this feeling to overcome it instead of falling into this overwhelm. Yeah, it's not that bad yet, but we've got the diagnosis and we know what's going to happen, and we notice it since 3 years. And now we know it will only get worse because there's nothing to do at the moment other than just wait. And yeah, maybe if you have something I can do for myself, because there are moments I just can't come online to be here with you all. And today it was a lucky day for me. So,
Well, a couple things that you could do. The first thing would be I'll just make this a question. Are there things that you're aware of that fill you up? I'll give you a few examples. It could be walking in nature, a circle of friends that you like to engage with, club, or even just one person. So, or an activity, a hobby, something to occupy your time or your hands or your brain. It's important to really be aware of what it is that fills you up, recharges your batteries, and gives you a break from the difficulties of being a caretaker. That's one thing. Another, and the most basic releasing related advice is probably what you don't want to hear.
then let's see.
It's simply when you feel things are coming up for you, when things are difficult, there's a conversation or something happens or whatever it is that brings up these feelings, which I'm sure do come up. What you can do practically is just to take a moment to yourself. Maybe there's a place that you like to sit, a favorite chair or wherever it is, and just give yourself permission to feel that way.
Yeah.
It's really the opposite of what you want. I mean, you're hoping, most people would be hoping for the magic pill, the cure. The reality is, it's actually very effective to just allow yourself to feel that way.
Yeah.
You might be asking why, or maybe somebody else is asking why. The resistance to feeling what you feel is actually what is painful, intensifies it. And it's the difference between pain and suffering. Does that mean something to you already, or shall I continue a little bit more?
I wouldn't use the word suffering.
Excuse me?
I wouldn't use the word suffering on myself at the moment. There isn't. That's too heavy a word. There's this occasional wave of feeling overwhelmed, being grief, or gosh, getting to it. Why does this happen? I feel it's just being very human in a way, I'm just human being and I have all these emotions in me and they suddenly pop up when I'm not, either not aware or, yeah.
Okay. So I think that you already have quite a lot of awareness, and that's very important. Most of us go through life without that awareness.
And
For example, in your position, many people would feel that, oh, well, I have an obligation to play this role, to accept this.
Mm.
And there's a should involved in that. I should be okay with being a caretaker. After all, this is my husband. Why?
Mm.
And so the awareness is that, well, you don't really necessarily feel that way in the moment. You may sometimes feel very differently and very violently opposed to
Mm.
what's going on. That son of a bitch, or what do I have to deal with this? You may actually hate that person in the moment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can imagine that it hasn't gotten that far yet. But
Okay. And I'm not even saying that it will, but again, though, most people would want to censor those kinds of feelings immediately. And it seems to me that you're much more open and willing to
Mm.
those.
Yeah.
So this is,
Well,
yes.
sometimes I think, Stephen, I am trying to be too good at playing this role. I don't know
Right.
whether it's difficult to say because I've never played this role, and I noticed that lots of things that I haven't overcome in my life are being triggered through this happening. Like I noticed, oh my goodness, I'll be, a widow, I'll be abandoned, I'll be rejected, I'll be alone, I'll be lonely. All these thoughts come and I think, yeah, how true are these? I mean, will I really go through all this, or will I just be okay?
Well, there is one more step, however, and that would be, I can express this in very different ways, but I've recently come to appreciate the way that Nietzsche expresses it, which is amor fati, the love of one's own fate. In other words, since Indrani seems to be in that situation, could you even love and welcome and relish and celebrate being in that position? And again, the mind says, well, why would I want to do this? One possibility is that this is an opportunity for you to welcome up and release
Yes.
and open yourself to even further freedom.
Mm. Even I have a problem with it because I sometimes think by trying to relish this and enjoy it and celebrate it, etc., that I'm trying to be over powerful or something. Am I trying to play a role that is? I don't know. I asked this question as well.
So
Or
let me help you with that a little bit.
please.
Those issues are coming up on the level of the mind, and that's not opposing to you at all. What I'm saying is that it's a question of welcoming the feelings and celebrating the feelings and relishing the feelings. Very, very different. Would you like to work with any of this? Is anything coming up for you that you'd like to work with?
Yes, the thing is, Stephen, that they have not really formulated inside of me or crystallized really, that I can tell you there's a whole bundle of things growing inside of me. How is it going to be, and how am I going to cope with this?
But we can work with that. Let's just take a moment.
Because I wake up at 3 in the morning and I don't sleep. Sleepless.
There you go. That's the heart of it. So I'm going to work one-on-one with you, but I invite others, anybody else who is watching this, to follow along, because guess what? What we feel to be individual problems are actually, in many ways, universal problems. So
Yes.
just take a moment to drop into yourself and just notice what's here, and take a deep breath. And then see if you can invite the mind to bring up one of its fantasies. And this is what they really are. The mind feels that it has an important job to play. What it's doing is trying to anticipate every possibility so that you are prepared and ready to address that. That's what the
You've
mind.
said it.
Yes.
You've said it. Yeah.
Okay. So,
Control, 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 control.
well, of course. So let's just start.
Repair, repair.
Right. And that's right there, a universal experience, that feeling of waking up at 3 a.m. with the mind just spinning possibilities. So could you just allow for a moment, allow the mind, even invite the mind to play that game, see if it wants to bring up some possibility or another. What happens if? And just notice. And notice how the body reacts. Notice the mind responds. The thoughts, stories, voices, images.
Body is trying to relax, and there's something that's holding on.
Let's work on the level of the body. Notice the body trying to relax. And then notice also trying to hold on. These are two opposing forces, so let's go back and forth. Notice the body's
Yes.
trying to relax.
Yeah.
But notice also
Yes.
the holding on.
Yes. There is a part of me that is fear of losing freedom. And then there's this other part saying, well, you'll gain freedom. Freedom is in the losing of it. Still.
So just notice that feeling of losing freedom. And then gaining freedom. And then losing freedom. Gaining freedom. But now let's take a step aside. Do you see what's common to both of these feelings? What they have in common? Isn't this all about trying to help Indrani in some way?
Yes. Yes.
One voice is saying this, the other voice is saying that. But both voices are an attempt to help in some way.
Yeah.
Both voices are trying to move in a positive direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if these are just two opposing sides of love, actually? What if this is all just love wearing a mask?
Mm-hmm.
Could you welcome both of these feelings up at the same time and see what happens?
Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. They seem to want to hold hands. Knowledge.
They were never any different, were they?
No, exactly.
Right. And so this is really at the heart of what I was saying before about amor fati, about loving your fate.
Yeah.
When you recognize that these voices, these feelings are all, without exception, trying to help in some way, then it's also possible to welcome them with gratitude. And you notice what happens when you do that. Right? Is it possible in this moment that what you're experiencing and what seems to be your role in this relationship, is it possible this could be enormously beneficial? Freedom.
I see it. I do see it. I've seen it already. And I'm very grateful. And I know that this is a chance, this challenge is a great gift that I have been given along, well, and my husband as well. So that it's an enormous gift that we both have been given. And I sometimes tell him we are chosen for this, to go through this challenge more than situation.
And you're not just saying that, you're feeling that as well. Yes.
Yes, I am. I am.
And notice also the feeling of that. Is it something heavy and negative? Or
No, it's immense, and that is what sometimes overwhelms me. I think I feel so small compared to what's being given or being given. Yeah, yeah. I don't have the words for it.
exactly.
Yeah,
Because it's beyond words, yes.
yeah. It's beyond words. You're right. It's absolutely massive.
Would you allow that just to be
Huge.
here without any need for commentary?
Yeah. Okay.
And understand also that each of us who are sharing this experience, or, well, each of us who are witnessing it or sharing it, notice that this also contains within it the sense of aliveness.
And
notice that also this is a feeling of aliveness, perhaps.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
the funny thing is, although it has to do with that, it's not there. It's so flipping alive. It's more more alive than it has ever been in my life. If you know what I mean.
I do, and it doesn't have to make sense either.
Oh, good.
Yes. But I tell you what does come to mind, I wonder if others can relate to this. What comes to mind was the experience that I had witnessing the birth of my daughter 35 years ago. In that moment, as she arrived in the world through her mother, I had a shocking realization of the possibility of death.
Yeah.
At the moment of birth, the welcoming of life, death is also present.
Yeah.
And so what you're telling us here is at the moment of facing death is also an incredible aliveness.
Yeah. That's right.
And this doesn't have to make sense because mentally it doesn't, but that's the reality.
Mhm.
Well,
Thank you, Stephen.
what an enormous gift for you to step up and say these things. Thank you, Andrani. In fact, I see we're reaching the end of the hour.
Mhm.
And if anybody would like to step up, that's fine. If not, it might also be an appropriate time to end the call.
Mhm.
I'll just go ahead and, if you don't mind, I'll mute you and I'll remain silent and just see what comes up. And if not, then we'll end the call. It's okay that way.
Yes, Ida here.
Ida.
I have a request.
Ooh.
Like, I worked on being okay with change, and then, okay, I'm allowing change, but it comes I'm so nistic on what to do.
I'm sorry, Ida, you're cutting in and out a little. Could you just repeat what you said? Being
Yeah,
okay.
I was saying that I worked on releasing fear of newness, of change, right? So then I'm allowing change. But as it comes, then I'm afraid that I'm very unique because I don't know what to do. it's the newness of it that's like scary, just like
Beautiful. Well, let's work with that a little bit, shall we?
yes.
So, if I understand, what you're saying is that you're doing your best to welcome change, but that change brings up fear. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
This is the wonderful paradox. Anytime there's opportunity, I think pretty much without exception, there's also fear. Because any kind of change holds with it the possibility of gain or loss, and possibly even both at the same time.
Mhm.
Mhm. So whatever it is that you're now anticipating, whatever change, could you just notice all the feelings that come up? And in particular, notice the fear.
Yeah. It brings the possibility of that.
Hmm.
I mean, change doesn't has to be to build, but it's also to build. You have to let go of things. So it's what if I die in the process?
Well, see, that's exactly what fear is always about, isn't it?
Very much.
It really is, yeah. And by the way, just in case you weren't aware, that's going to happen anyway, isn't it? Maybe not tomorrow.
Maybe next second, we never know.
Exactly. But just for now, could you just allow that sense of fear to be here?
Yes.
And this time, could you actually face it with curiosity and just notice what's going on? Notice how the body reacts in particular. And notice also the mind, what's happening there. Which of the two?
Well, the mind stops.
The mind is stopped.
Yeah, it's like the curiosity is like, oh, let me check this out.
And what's happening in the body?
Unease.
Okay, so
'Cause I had never considered the possibility of being curious about it. Thank you.
So yeah, well, notice that unease that you just mentioned. Let's take it one step further. Could you even welcome it, invite more? Why not?
Yeah.
And let's just check. Are you dead now?
Hopefully not.
Doesn't sound like it,
Right?
but that's really what the fear is about. Right?
Yeah.
Right. And so what if you could invite even just a little bit more? Still alive, right?
Yeah. But I know.
No, what's happening?
I don't want to invite no more.
Oh, well, that's
It
okay.
just kind of went and, it's like, yeah, I'll invite some. And then, no, it's too much.
Oh, that's the resistance, of course. So just notice that, right? Okay. But there is some kind of sensation in the body at the moment. Is that right?
Yes. Like a clenched on my back.
Okay. So just for now, could you allow that? Give it permission.
No.
That's exactly right. And notice that no. Thank you for that no. Because that was the thing, right?
It is the truth. Yes. It was.
But what happens with that no? How does that no affect the feeling? Does the feeling get better or does it get more intense?
No, it just went away.
Oh, okay. So there's no.
I jiggled because it was like, it's futile to say no. It just feels
So let me ask you, what's here now?
presence.
Ooh, just like that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Wow. Could we take it one step further?
Yes.
Think again about this change, whatever it is. And by the way, notice that we don't even have to talk about it or describe it. It's not important. Just notice
Mm-hmm.
whatever change means to you. Yeah.
Yes.
And what does that bring up? Is there any reaction in the body or in the mind?
I have had this extreme tension in the back of my head.
Mm-hmm. Is that here now?
No, and as I started releasing this, it kind of went away, and my body's just kind of relaxing. So I can't find what you asked is I'm releasing.
Again, so I invited you to think about this change, and the reaction in the body is neutral. Is that what you're saying?
It's what the body's just relaxing. It's like being in ease mode. Like we can see change. They're bringing it.
Well, thank you for bringing all this up, because I think that you've shown us something very important, Ida, which is any kind of change, including any opportunity, brings up fear. And
Indeed.
exactly our ability to face that, allow it, and be with it, that's what allows us to transcend that. And so you might even say that's the secret of handling an opportunity or rolling with a change. Would you agree with that?
Totally. Yes.
And you're speaking now from your own personal experience.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Okay, good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Okay. I'm going to admit Senley because she's just arriving. We've just reached the end of the hour, but since you knocked on the door, I'm inviting you. Is there something that you'd like to say, or can I help?
I was actually on the call and I dropped off, so I just jumped back on so I could hear the end. But it was a great call. Thank you. And
Sure.
I had my own gains doing exactly what you said. I let go of my attachment to my body and letting go of my aversion to it at the same time when I was diagnosed with the brain tumor. And I've had 5 brain surgeries, and they had to have the conversation with my family of what to expect, and that I had to make all these arrangements because we didn't think I was going to be around. And I was supposed to be partially blind, paralyzed, in a wheelchair and all this stuff. And anyway, it's definitely been a journey for the last 2 years, but I learned to walk again. I learned to write my name again and had to do all of that. But obviously, I don't sound like I've had brain surgery. The doctors want me to write a book. They call me a walking miracle. Honestly, I just accepted everything I was feeling, all the fear. I did a lot of releasing on allowing myself to give love without needing love in return. And now I call the whole brain tumor experience a blessing in disguise, because I have a deeper level of gratitude, a deeper understanding of humility, and a deeper understanding of acceptance of God's will. Because I had a lot of blessings at the same time that I was going through all of that. I really got to see how many people showed up for me, and I'm even closer to my family now that we're on the other side of it. I'm still going through it. Obviously, I'm still in recovery, but it's been a blessing in general. I think just from how much I learned about myself and how much I was able to let go.
Yeah, I'm speechless. Thank you for coming back and telling us that. I think we can agree that that pretty much validates everything that we've worked through on this call. But wonderful to hear that.
Everything you worked on the call. Exactly. Everything you worked on that is so true firsthand. I mean, I joke around and I call it that I had my own Lester experience, because My last bout, my 5th surgery, I guess I was in the ICU for 34 days straight. So I basically spent a year in the hospital with the different brain surgeries and mostly in ICU. I mean, there was nothing to do. I was the breadwinner of the family. I did everything for the, I mean, really, we found that the whole family learned from my experience. Everybody recognized how much mom actually did. And my husband appreciated me. You know, when I finally got to the point this past year being able to go, you know, I think I feel better. I'm going to take the finances back over. My husband's like, oh, God, thank you. But I think everybody really appreciates how much I actually did. It's just different. Now everyone learned from it, not just me, but everybody around me learned from it.
Yes, that's quite an experience.
Anyways, thank you. Thank you for putting these calls on. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody that does the releasing calls because I like jumping on. It's always a great refresher and reinforces what we all experience. I'm sure we've all had these moments. We just so easily forget, right?
Well, that is the nature of it. But yeah, you're right. Oh, it's wonderful to hear that story that you just shared with us. I could also say my father, we nearly lost him in 2019. Long story, medical issue, heart, but he was in the ICU for 6 weeks. He's still around, actually, touch wood. But at the age of 88, he looks back on that experience as the luckiest thing that ever happened to him. And the reason was, as you expressed, of how things shifted in the family. It brought us together in a way that we hadn't been. I mean, that echoes in some way what you were talking about, I think so. Yeah. Embracing your fate, welcoming your fate.
I realized that I felt like I was the lucky one being in the bed and having it happen to me because I thought, oh, I'm so glad this is happening to me and not to my children or my husband because I thought they had the harder job watching me because there's nothing they could do but just sit there and wait and see what happens. And I know how much they must have been hurting because I thought it would be 10 times worse if it was them in the bed instead of me in the bed. I thought I had the easy part. I was okay, you know, if God was ready to take me.
Well, folks, I think that maybe I will end this call. I don't really know what else to say. Don't accept. I will say briefly that, yeah, I do work with people one-on-one, and if anybody would like to do that kind of thing, I'm available. There'll be a link in the comments to the video. But thank you all for coming to this call, and I look forward to seeing you and others next week as well. So,
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen.
thank you.
Bye.